It's my pleasure to be with Dr. Emmanuel McCall, who's been a colleague and friend for many years now. And I've asked him to spend some time with me today, and I'm grateful that he has, just to give us an oral history of his life.
Raised in Pennsylvania, um, rural area, a number of villages. The village that I was most identified with was called West Middlesex. A number of the governmental terms are of English origin. We use the town, or they use the title borough, township, and so it would have been the borough of West Middlesex, township of Mercer. Mercer also was the county. This would be 60 miles north of Pittsburgh, closest to Youngstown, Ohio. In fact, the Youngstown state line is about 5 miles from the West Middlesex borough, but it was right on the state line of my dad's property. So we could step right out of Pennsylvania into Ohio at will. But that's where the first 17 years of my life was spent. Raised on the farm, doing all of the farm things that we would do around that area. My dad specialized in what's called truck farming. Vegetables, nuts, fruits, grains. He kept a bevy of hogs. Now bevy isn't the right word, but he raised a lot of pigs. And he did this because of a contractual arrangement he had with the ethnic communities in the nearby town of Farrell and Sharon. There were pockets of European immigrants that stayed together. There was an Italian community, a Czechoslovakian community, a Russian community, and you name it. Every European group had a community area, and they had a center. And among the traditions, especially at the holiday time, Christmas and New Year's, was the roasted suckling pig. My dad supplied those. He did the breeding with the hogs so that they would have enough time to develop to about 35, 40 pounds, thereabouts. And then 2 days before Christmas or the day before New Year's was special hog killing time. We would knock down 25 or 30 of pigs, all to be delivered. And we could do that there without needing without needing refrigeration, because we just hang them in the trees as cold as it was. And so that's the environment in which I was raised. I loved the rural then, still do now. At age 14, I felt the call to ministry, and the pastor of the church that I was a member of said that you can only learn to preach by preaching. So instead of my waiting till I finished high school and in college, he started me right then. So I had the opportunity of developing in the ministry while I was under the nurture of Frank Waller. And then he wanted me to go to Louisville, Kentucky, to Simmons Bible College. It was a school that he had attended, but at the time he attended it, it was a state university. They lost their accreditation and was able to manage just an institute. And that's what I discovered when I got there. And one of the faculty, Garland Offit, talked to me about educational development. I knew nothing about where I needed to go and how I needed to go. So he gave me instruction, became sort of a mentor, and I spent the 1 year at Simmons and then went to University of Louisville for college and then on to Southern Seminary, which was also in Louisville. And it was sort of a natural that if you went to University of Louisville, you're going to go to Southern Seminary, because it was the seminary for that region, for that area. And went through 3 degree programs there. in the meantime, the Home Mission Board asked me to come and serve on their staff. I was attracted to them through Hugo Culpeper. Hugo was my missions professor at Southern, and he was invited by the Home Mission Board to come and direct the missions division. And about this time, this was 1965 when he was invited to come to Atlanta. About this time, Arthur Rutledge, who was the executive director, made the decision that they ought to have a black person on staff, and somebody who had experience in the area of racial reconciliation. I did because John Claypool and I were the spearheaders behind the development of the Louisville Baptist Interracial Ministers Conference. John was adjunct teaching at Southern Seminary, pastor of Crescent Hill Church, and I was a student. And one day at lunch, we began talking about what an impact Baptist in Louisville had and could make in racial reconciliation. We saw the regular news of all the other cities and towns and areas having problems. We said that if we could get Baptists together, we could avoid that. So there were 6 whites, 6 blacks who met together one night a week, Tuesday night, for a period of about 6 months.
What year, about what time?
This would have been 1962.
Okay.
And during that time, we got to know each other. We talked about the issues, crises. We talked about what could be done to resolve them. And when we felt that we were ready to go public, I and the 6 fellows that I brought went to the African American Ministers Conference. John went to the Anglo and asked them to give up one Monday a month. And they agreed to do it. And out of that came the Interracial Ministers Conference. And we were successful in crossing the barriers and having a more open society simply through the presence of Baptist folk. We did a lot of things together. We had some public rallies at the Civic Center. We did a lot of things together as churches, both 1 or 2 churches crossing racial lines, doing things together. We did our Bible study training events together. We looked for things that we had in common, and we focused on that. We didn't make race the issue, although everything that we did was interracial. But we began doing deacons meetings together and mission action together, simultaneous revival. We did a number of things, and in this way we were able to be a step ahead of the racial crises that other places experience.
Did that group serve to be a calming effect in those years of real struggles?
It was. We took the initiative to get ahead of the crises, and especially in the public school thing and matter of open facilities and housing, we took the leadership in that, and was able to avoid some of the problems that others had. So it was this that caused Dr. Culpeper to mention me to Dr. Rutledge, and in May of '68 I was invited to join the...
On your resume, the same level of counseling experience that Charles had. He got formal, studied all these graduate degrees and all in counseling. You didn't go that route.
I didn't go that route.
Right.
I had courses with Wayne Oates and Sam Southard and Swan Hayworth, but they were just part of the regular curriculum. I did not pursue any counseling activity while I was in seminary, or, I'm sorry, after I finished seminary.
Join me in a prayer of thanksgiving. Oh God, thank you for this night in which we worship and celebrate the birth of your Son, who came as a baby that he might live with us and through us and in us and for us. Help us in this service of worship to honor only you, to praise only your name, and then to live out our faith as you would want us to. In the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.